Hello everybody, I'm Beaveresque, otherwise known as Jackson Beaver, otherwise known as Jackson Beeper, otherwise known as Bucky Bezo. Okay, I have a lot of names, but you know who I am. So this video is going to show you how to set up, from start to finish, one of my Chua avatars. And just a few things to preface. You'll want to have Blender 2.92, that's what I'm using right here. And you'll also want to make sure that you have Unity version 2018 420F1. That's the Unity version that that Vrchat currently uses. So keep that in mind for watching the video. Those are the versions of the programs that I'm using here. So first off, we need to start out in Blender because we need to customize our model and then export that into Unity later. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up the model from the file, the zip file that you downloaded from Gumroad. So I'm going to go to File and Open, and I'm going to go find one of these. We're going to go ahead and use Cirrus. So we're going to use the Cirrus model as our example. I've got a few more in here because these are some of my working project files, but the one that you want is called Save as This One. You'll have this one in your zip file. Save as This One. And open that one up. So you'll have your model open up. So start off with, mine has textures. Yours will likely show up as being bright pink. And that's because mine points to the folder that I have textures in, but yours won't have those textures in place, so it doesn't know what to pull, and it will give you your pink avatar instead. So you can either leave it pink, or you can use this little button up here, and you can make it gray, and just sort of the default thing, but we're just going to go with this for now. So this here is called the viewport, and to turn and pan and all of that, I use my middle mouse button. So if you hold down your middle mouse button, you can rotate, and if you hold down shift, you can move around. So that's how to just sort of generally navigate around your Chua to see what they look like. And over here, this over here is your scene collection. And what this is it's the list of all the parts that you can use to customize your Chua. It's all the different stuff that's included in this model. And over on the right-hand side, along this edge, you'll see these eyeballs. And the eyeballs mean this piece is turned on and you can see it. If it's got the little closed eye symbol, then it means that it's turned off. You won't be able to see it. And that's how we have it, so that we only see just one haircut at the same time. So right now, we are using the big mohawk, the fluffy ears, and we currently don't have any facial hair on this model. So let's customize it, because maybe we don't like this particular setup. So we're going to make it so that it's ours. So we're going to start off by turning off Big Mohawk, and that will make that mesh go away. This is okay, it's just a big hole in the head. Oh, good God. So let's pick a new hairstyle. Let's pick soft serve. We'll do soft serve. We'll have that big floopy one up top. That's good. So we've got the hair we want. Let's pick some new ears. We're going to turn off fluffy. And just as a good example here, so any of the ones that are not involved with damage are all in matched pairs. They will always have two ears. The damage ones are set up so you have mixed pairs. You can do left or right. Oh, hello, Alon. You can do a left and right combination because you can put them together as a mixed set. So first off is the major damage ones, which have most of the stuff chunked off of it. And you've got your minor damage ones, which just have a little bit of damage. So we're going to make a mixed pair and do major damage on the left and minor damage on the right. So there's our mixed pair of ears. So we've got our ears set, and now it's time to pick some facial hair, because we don't want them to have nothing on their face. We prefer some accessorizing. So we'll start with a bushy eyebrow, and we'll add a goatee and some whiskers. That's pretty good. I like it. We'll go with that. So now that we have the Chua looking the way we want, now we have to put it together. We're going to join together the pieces, but first we have to clean up a little bit because we've got all of this extra stuff that's turned off, and we want to get rid of that so that it's not included in our project. So what you do here is you control click on each of the pieces that are turned off, then right click and delete. And that will clean those up and leave just the ones that we're using. And then repeat that with all of the other sections like this. And you can do like shift click on larger sections like this, but we'll just do it like this for example's sake. And now we're all cleaned up. Don't delete this. Don't delete the armature. Despite the fact that it's turned off, we need the armature. That's your bones. That makes it so that you move. I just have it turned off for convenience's sake because, oh my god, that's a lot of bones. So you can just leave that alone. We don't need to worry about that. So now that we've got all of the stuff cleaned up, oops, we accidentally deleted an ear. Let's undo, bring that back, shall we? Let's try this over again. Let's cut that. All right, so now we have our cleaned up hierarchy. Everything that we don't need is deleted. Everything that we do need is here. So we're going to put them together. We're going to join them to start out with some of these parts that we need to merge. We're going to join together the ones that have to be merged. And what that means is we're going to make it so that they're all one model. Joining just puts the pieces together, but leaves them as separate, what's called meshes, which is just collections of vertices that make up the shape. But by merging, we're going to take some of those vertices that occupy the same space where the seams line up and merge them together into one vertex so that we have one seamless model that is just one object. So to start off, to do that, we need to join some pieces together. So first off, we're going to join minor damage, major damage, soft serve, and body. So that's the order you want to do these in. You want to do your ears, then your hair, and then the body. You want to make sure that this stuff down here is orange, this up here is yellow, because the item that you select last is going to be the name that you end up with when it all joins together. And we need to end up at the end with one that's called body. So now we have all of this stuff selected. We're going to go to Object, Join. So all those separate lines have gone away, but that doesn't mean that we're done with this. We've joined them, meaning that we've made it so that it recognizes it as one object, but it's still separate meshes. Like if you take a look at it, you can still see some seams where they line up along the model. We're going to make those go away by putting them together into a single mesh. So you want to make sure that your model is all highlighted in this outline of yellow, but if you accidentally click out of it, you can just click on the model again. You can click on body. That works fine. So now that we have it highlighted, we're going to merge these vertices together. We're going to line them up and put them together so that we have just one mesh. To do that, with it highlighted, you hit Tab, and that's going to bring us to Edit Mode. And with Edit Mode, this is where you can mess around with the vertices, all the little dots that make up the shape of your mesh. Once we have it in Edit Mode, to select everything, we hit the A key. And after doing that, everything should highlight in orange except for your facial hair and your eyes, because those are still separate objects. Those are not combined in with body yet, so they're not going to highlight along with everything else. So now that we are highlighted orange, we want to merge. So we go to Mesh, Merge by Distance. And what that does is anything that has a vertex that is within 0.0001 meters of each other, it's going to combine them into a single vertex. It's going to put them together, weld them together. So now we have one single mesh where everything lines up, and you can get out of edit mode by just hitting Tab again. So now we're back to object mode. As you can see, we have no more lines in the thing, because some of it, there's a little bit of line because of the textures and the way they line up, but that's not because of the vertexes or vertices. So now we have one single mesh, one single object for the body. Now we're going to combine the rest of this stuff in there so that we end up with just one object and without all this stuff all separated out. So same as we did before, you're going to control click from bottom to top and end with bottom. So make sure that all of the stuff that's not body is orange and body is yellow. We want to end up with a mesh that's called body. So now that we have all of this set here, we'll do the same thing where we go to object, join, and now we have one smooth model with everything included in it. It's all just called body. This is fine. So don't worry about armature. Again, that will automatically be exported with everything because it's already, parented up and I've done all that work. So we've done all the stuff we need to do in Blender. So now we need to set up a Unity project and then we can import the model into that. So let's go over to Unity and get that set up to do that. Okay, so we've got Unity here. This is the Unity Hub, and we're going to create a new project. And to do that, you just click on New, open up a window you want 3D, pick a folder you want the project to go into, and then name it something. In this case, I've already created a project that's ready to start working in, so we don't have to do this, but just plug that in there and hit create, and it will work in the new Unity window to create your project. So we're just going to close this stuff out because here we have our project already. So first things first, we need to get the Vrchat SDK in here. And we're using SDK 3, not SDK 2. So make sure that you don't accidentally import SDK 2. What you'll want to do is go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package. And we want to go to where we have our Vrchat SDK 3 for avatars saved. We're going to grab this, open, decompress, and then we just have to hit this import button down here, and we'll go ahead and set up the SDK in our project. Okay, we've got the SDK in place. That's been imported. So now in this project, we're going to use dynamic bones. Now, dynamic bones is optional. You don't have to use dynamic bones in this project, but it's what makes your tail swish, it's what makes your ears flop around, it's what makes your hair move if you've got something that's slightly longer as a hairstyle. So if you want some, movement to your character, then dynamic bones is the way to go. I have specifically not included dynamic bones in the project because it is a paid asset, and I'm not going to distribute paid assets for free because that's not cool. So we need to get dynamic bones into this, and the way that I do it is if you've purchased dynamic bones from the Unity Asset Store, you can click on the Asset Store tab up at the top and go to My Assets. And any assets that you've purchased, as long as you're signed into Unity with your Unity program, it'll show them here. And you can just grab it by hitting Import, same way we did with the SDK. And that will pull dynamic bones into our project. And then we can go back to scene. And now we have dynamic bones. So those are ready to go. In the event that you don't use dynamic bones, you don't want to use it, or you don't plan to buy it, or what have you, there's going to be some stuff on the avatar that shows up as missing scripts. And you can just remove anything that shows up as missing script, because if you don't, then the Vrchat SDK won't let you upload it. So that's pretty simple to do. I'll show you how to remove components in a little bit here. So now we have the SDK, we have dynamic bones, so it's time to pull in our Chua project, our Unity package. So we're going to go to where we have that Unity package saved for Cirrus, and we're doing this with the 1.1 avatars, not 1.0, this is 1.1. I'm going to click on that, same as we did before. It's going to pull that into the project with all of the bits and pieces. And I did include a couple of things in here beyond just the avatars, and that is the Poyomi shader, the Poyomi Toon shader, because that's free, Pumpkin's avatar tools, which is also free, and you can do things with that like move your viewpoint if you need to tweak that a little bit, or change the scale if you want to make your Chua taller or shorter. That makes it really easy to do that. So I've included that in there too. And then, of course, we've got the actual model. So hit import, and that will pull all of that stuff in. Okay, so we've got the package imported, and it's going to pop this up that says if you want to reload the scene, because I used just the same sample scene as it gives you when you first open a project. I didn't rename the scene or anything like that. So go ahead and hit reload, make sure you do that so that it brings stuff in that we need to be in the scene based on the package that you just unpacked. And if you give it just a second, it will give us Chua. We have Chua. Right. So what we have here, let's kind of move this over a little bit. So here are 4 Chua. These 3 on the right, these are just examples. These are examples of the kind of stuff that you can do with your Chua avatars. As far as like colors and body shape and that kind of thing. Different options. Like here's one with metal ears on it that you can do. And oops, it's got some nice metal sheen on it. So those are just examples of potential. But over here, this yellow one, we're going to be replacing this one with the avatar we just created. We're going to save over the top of this and update this model with all of the stuff that we want on it. So now that we've got all this in place, we go back to Blender. So here we are in Blender again. This is super easy because the nice thing about if you have both Blender and Unity installed is that you can use the blend files directly in Unity as your model, and you don't have to do any extra exporting or anything like that. You can just use that .blend file in there, no problem. So all we have to do is save. So we just do a save as, and then we're going to navigate to where our example scene is here. So we go to your project, you go to Assets, Cirrus, and in here in the model folder. You'll recognize this file name because it's exactly the same as the one that you have just modified. So we just click on this, we're going to save over the top of that and replace it, save as. Saved successfully, you can see that down here, and we'll go back to our Unity project. We'll think for a second, then there we go. Now this avatar looks like we made our avatar look. So it has the right model, but maybe you don't like yellow. Maybe you want a different color. Maybe you don't like green eyes. Maybe you want that to be a different color. Well, this is pretty easy to make a change to. We do have a preset selection of fur colors that are what was available to us in the game. There are Substance Painter files, very basic Substance Painter files, also available with these that you can create some modifications and make your own. I will have some better versions of those Substance Painter files eventually, as well as PSDs, but at the time of this recording on May 29th, we just have the basic Substance Painter stuff to make that. But for now, we're going to change the color on this to using the textures that we have available to us. So to do that, over here, we have a hierarchy in the lower left of our file structure. I'm going to expand Cirrus, expand Textures, and then I'm going to click on Materials. So materials in Unity are what tell the model what to display as far as it's visually presented. That includes texture files, the lighting that it has on it, if it's shiny or if it's a matte finish. There's a bunch of different things that are controlled by the material. And each material is applied to different areas that have maybe different texture files that are associated with it. So we have body, ears, eyes, facial hair, and, very important, we have undies, because we have a toggle that lets you apply the Chua underwear from the game, if you so choose. One caveat about the undies is you have to make sure that they match the same texture file between body and undies. They need to have the exact same thing. Additionally, you need to have the body, ears, and hair and undies all have the same color. The facial hair, you can make that any color you want. You can have a blue body and white facial hair. Doesn't matter. You can do whatever color you want with facial hair because there aren't seams that would look weird. So if we want to change the color, right now we've got yellow. We're going to click on our body material. And over here in Spectre, you'll see a bunch of options pop up. The only thing that we really care about right now is the texture, and that's up here in the main section where it says main texture. You'll see a little teeny thumbnail of what it currently has for your texture. Click on this tiny dot, this little dot, and it will open up a file picker. And from here, you can select a different body texture. Anything that's a body texture is going to be Chua, skin, something. So we want to pick a different color. So we're going to go with pink. So we'll make a pink Chua. So you just click on it, you'll immediately see it change, and you can close that file picker and move on to the next material. So we'll do our ears next. Same thing, click on the dot, grab the pink Chua ears. Same thing with the facial hair. We're just going to do the same thing. We'll grab pink. And hair. Same thing, we'll grab pink. And for the undies, you won't see any visual change when you change the undies texture because that is turned on and off within the game. But trust me, you want to make sure that that's the same color as everything else. So there we go. We have a pink Chua. Look at that. No longer yellow. Now we are pink. So we've got the pink Chua, but maybe we want a different eye color. Well, the eyes are a slightly different setup. There's one thing that's a little bit similar, and that is if you want to switch between these normal-looking eyes or the spooky eyes, because that is another option we had in WildStar. So if you do the exact same thing, click Main Texture, you can choose the spooky eyes if you want them. But in this case, we're just going to hang on to the regular eyes and use those. So here in our texture, in our material shader, you'll want to click on this Advanced tab up at the top, Advanced, and that opens up a bunch more options. What we're going to do now is we see one called Color Adjust. That's going to let us change our eye color. So we're going to open this up so we can get more options. Check the box. And that activates that option so that when we make the changes to the sliders, we'll see it happen on the left. And then you just use Hue Shift and Saturation to change the color and saturation of the irises of the eyes. So in this case, instead of green, make them purple. There we go. We'll do purple. And that looks pretty good. I don't think we have to mess with the saturation. So I think I like what we've got here. Purple is good. We'll go with that. All right, so we have our colors. We have pink and purple, and that looks pretty gosh darn good. However, there is one more thing that you can do to customize your avatar, and that is mess around with body shape sliders. And that's new as of version 1.1. 1.0 does not have this option. 1.1 does. And the way that we get to that is, let's click this to make sure we can see this. You can click on your avatar once, twice, and it will highlight in orange. Highlighting in orange means that it's taking a look at the actual model and not what's called a prefab, which includes both the model and all of the avatar options and the armature and all that stuff. We want to affect just the body mesh. So over here, under Skinned Mesh Renderer, there's this Blend Shapes thing. And we can click the arrow and expand all of these options. Don't worry about anything that says VRC next to it. You don't want to mess with those. Those are all the shapes that are called visemes, and what those do is that makes it so your mouth moves when you talk. So if you say, I don't know. So you don't have to mess with those. In fact, I advise that you don't, because you could end up with a very broken looking avatar. What we want to do is work with these. These are all of our different body sliders that affect the bits and pieces of the body. So in this case, let's make a chunky. Let's make a big old chunky chew. So we're going to make the tummy bigger. We're going to do chest bigger, waist bigger, and I'm doing everything up to 100. You don't have to go from 0 to 100. You can, use middle sliders and stuff. You don't have to go extreme. But in this case, just to sort of give you the example of what we're looking at, we're just going to use everything for the bigger body options all the way up to the top. And then you can see that we have a very chunky looking Chua with a nice thick tail, and you can see over here the default body, there's definitely a difference between the two of them. So now we've got our chunky Chua. So now that we've got all the options looking the way we want, we've got the color we want, we've got the model design, we've got the body shapes the way we want, we have to do a little cleanup. Because if we don't, then our avatar optimization is going to be garbage. And I don't mean that model name. What I'm talking about is the dynamic bones. So we've got dynamic bones on this default model applied to literally everything. Anything that can have a dynamic bone has a dynamic bone. Oh boy, yeah. If you leave that, your avatar is going to be either like poor or very poor rating, and it's going to be terribly optimized. What we want to do is get rid of the dynamic bones for anything that we're not using, anything we don't need. So the way we do that is we go over on the right-hand side with our Chua highlighted. It needs the blue outline, not the orange one. So you can either just click once on avatar, or you can click on the name of it up here, and that will highlight it in blue. And that will show us all of the different avatar options. And what we'll do is find the dynamic bone scripts that apply to the pieces that we don't need and just take them off the avatar. So in this case, the only ones we need are medium ear on the left, regular ear on the right, soft serve, whiskers, and tail. Those are the only ones we need. Everything else we want to clean up and get rid of. So we don't need little ear, we don't need that one. So the way that you can remove them is there's this tiny little gear over on the right. For some reason, Unity loves to use itty bitty little icons. We'll click on that and go remove component, and it gets rid of it. So we're going to get rid of all the stuff we don't need. We don't need little ear, medium ear left. Yep, we do want that one. We don't need medium ear right. Tail, of course, we will leave the tail. Ear right, that's the one we're using, so we're leaving that one alone. Ear left, we don't need that. And I'm sorry that there's stuff that's sort of like all over the place. I did reorganize this so all the dynamic bones were in the same place below the avatar options, but for some reason, whenever I save, it loves to just jumble them back up. So I'm sorry about that. Let's see, further dynamic bones down here, we've got whisker anchor. We need that one. That one's one we're using. Swoop, we're not using that hairstyle. We're not using the sprout hairstyle. We're not using spiky. Get rid of both halves of spiky. Soft one, that's our soft serve hairstyle. Leave that alone. We'll get rid of the ponytail one, and both of the mohawk ones. And that's it. We've only got the ones we need. We've got the tail, soft serve, both ears, and our whiskers. So that looks good. That looks basically ready to go. We are all set as far as this avatar is concerned, as far as uploading. So to upload it, just go to your Vrchat SDK menu, show control panel. If you're signed in, it should automatically go to the Builder tab. If need be, you will sign in with your Vrchat username and password. Two-factor authentication, definitely have 2FA. It's bad news if you don't. Get logged in and you'll get to Builder. By default, you're going to see all of the avatars that are currently on the screen. So you see all the examples and the one that we're going to be uploading. So you just click on the one you're actually uploading and check this section for anything that looks off. This looks pretty good. We've got performance of medium because we do have 5 dynamic bones attached to the body. So Vrchat's kind of about 5. Some other ones might have only 2 or 3. In that case, it'd probably be good. But medium, perfectly fine. We're probably better off than a lot of avatars in Vrchat. As long as there's nothing red over here, that means we should be good to go to upload. If you see anything over here that's in here that's red, either maybe you didn't take missing scripts off from dynamic bones if you don't have that, or maybe there's like a texture that needs to be corrected. For those, you should see like a little auto fix button over here. Just click on that, it will fix it for you. But I've tried to make sure that all of these packages are pre-fixed for everybody, so you shouldn't have to do that. So as long as everything looks good here, you can either build and test, so you have a local copy that you can use that only you will see in Vrchat, or you can build and publish for Windows. You just click on that and it will walk you through the dialog to upload into Vrchat. In this case, with our example, we're not going to do that, but that's it. You're ready to go. You're ready to upload your Chua. So thank you for watching. Hope this has been clear and not too terribly confusing. Enjoy your Chua. Cosmotronic.